Hey everyone, and welcome to another Yogi Misfit Session. My name is Danny Pomploon, and I'm your host. Today's show is brought to you by SF Yoga Magazine. They are super cool. I write a little column for them. It's an asana column, but you can check them out. They do tons of stuff for the community here in San Francisco. It's all free. It's online. It's a bunch of local people that write the articles as well, so go check them out. Today's show, we've got Maryam blah 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 blah.
Nailed it.
Okay, so actually, Maryam, before I even go further, how do I really pronounce your last name?
It's pronounced English translation Sharifzadeh.
Sharifzadeh.
Yeah, exactly how it's spelled.
Sharifzadeh. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But I like your version.
We can stick with that. I mean, whatever. No big deal.
Yeah, let's be creative.
I feel so bad because sometimes I'll have people on the show, or just like in general, like what students' names and whatnot. And I'm just like, I can barely read. Like I can't. Can I just call everyone number? Like you, number 32, blue hair. Get over here.
You are a green shirt.
It would be so much easier.
Oh, I know. And when they move places, that's what gets me.
Oh, yeah.
If I get their name finally, but then they switch to like the other side of the room, and you're like, ah. Oh,
yeah. You're like,
who are you?
I just had it.
Oh,
so
funny.
For the listeners coming in, Maryam is she's a Lululemon ambassador over in Berkeley, right?
Yes,
yeah,
that's
it's
correct.
Berkeley store. We met recently at a little holiday gathering that we did with the rest of the Lululemon ambassadors, and we kind of connected, and we were talking about podcast, and so here we have her on the show. She's an awesome human being. She is a pioneer of office yoga here in the San Francisco and Bay Area, and so I figured, why not bring her on the show to chat up a bit?
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
And first, I want to also acknowledge that this is probably going to be our longest conversation that you and I have together.
Yeah.
Thank you for hosting me. I was like, kind of feels like a first date.
I'm okay with that. That's cool. That's totally fine.
Like, what's he going to ask me? I don't know.
So, I'm a Leo. I like long walks on the beach. I'm a meat eater. I do practice yoga.
Oh,
yeah.
Good for you.
Favorite,
or a rebel.
Favorite color is red. That's all I got. For anyone listening too, like feel free to take notes on this stuff. Like I'm a catch.
Next time you come to class, bring a T-bone steak.
Right. That's so good. I love it. So let's dive into this. I mean, actually, we should probably just horseplay for the rest of the show because it's way more entertaining.
What's the purpose of being here again?
I don't know. What are we doing here?
Focus.
Let's dive into the show a little bit. So, Maryam, we start the show every single time. Well, not the same way, but the question at the start is the same, and it's so we get to know a little bit about you and your journey with yoga. So, why yoga for you?
Oh, why yoga? Seems like such a simple question, right?
I don't know, man.
If I were to narrow it down to really one thing, I think it would be transformation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That transformation. It's really beautiful to see, and I love it. Just psychologically, behavior, physically, all of that. I love it how the yoga can transform just me and myself, but also seeing it in other people. And it's just like such a broad spectrum. It covers your entire life. So.
How did you get started in yoga?
I started back in college. I was teaching swim lessons. So I came into it as an athlete. I was a swimmer and a water polo player, and it was summertime, and I was teaching swim lessons as my summer job. And in between the morning and afternoon sessions, I would take this yoga Pilates class. And I was in it for the Pilates because I wanted, the core work. But it was also blended with yoga. So we would do the first half an hour of the class was Pilates, and I just kind of stuck with the yoga part, but I was never really that into it because it was boring for me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But as the summer went on, I was like, okay, it's not so bad. And so yeah, just over time, it really started to sink in. It really sunk in for me when I moved back to San Francisco, and I got caught up in a Rusty Wells class.
As most do.
He's like the gateway.
He's come up almost every show.
Yeah, him
Every
and
show.
Snyder, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, he really pulled me, and he has this amazing way of just like pulling you into this bubble of love and just protection. You know, you feel like you're so safe there.
Hmm.
So yeah, my practice really evolved with Rusty in San Francisco, and you know, I kind of stayed with Urban Flow. I met Steph through Urban Flow, and I still practice with her now. You know, went to Dharma, and I've just San Francisco's been an amazing yoga hub.
That's awesome. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
Actually I lied. I took one of Rusty's classes, but I never actually took Stephanie's class there or at Urban Flow. I met her a few years ago, and it was at a yoga journal conference, and I was like, oh, this chick is pretty cool. She was really funny.
She's so funny.
She was teaching a backbending it was like a backbending class, and it was like first thing on Saturday morning, and the first thing she says when she walks in, she's like, so backbends at 9 a.m. Why didn't we just poke ourselves in the eye? Like, it was pretty good. I was like, yeah, girl.
Yeah, very practical, like so down to earth. Just yeah, I love her.
Is she your primary teacher now?
She is. She's definitely. I feel like I can relate to her the most. I mean, who can't? She's just so. I'd say very traditional and very broad. You know, the way that she teaches. She really tries to do what feels best for most people, even in her training.
Right.
So, yeah, she's the most accessible. She's here in San Francisco. I really love Dharma, who I ended up going to do his training as well through Steph. You know, that's one of her teachers. And Dharma's training was intense. I mean, that is a yoga master right there, and he's fantastic. You know, it was brutal while I was in it, but I still feel like I pull so much of his teachings out of the training that I did, which was a year and a half ago. Yeah, they still come through somehow, you know, and I would love to train with him a little bit more if I can while there's still time. But Steph is definitely the person that I feel like my heart's with. You know, I could just relate to her, and she's so accessible and a great teacher, like really phenomenal teacher.
Did you take her 200-hour teacher training? Is that what you did or no?
I did. I did her 200-hour about 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
3 years ago, and I'm assisting her 200-hour right now.
Oh,
so
cool. Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's great to be back in it, and you know, in a different seat, and kind of absorb the information again, and help all the the new instructors, which is great to see. They're so hungry.
Yeah.
You know, they want to know everything.
Yeah. And it's awesome to it's also to support them at the same time too, because we were in that seat at one point or in our journey, I should say, of yoga.
Yeah, I remember.
So you started teaching yoga, and I guess I'm gonna segue into what we're talking about today. Like, you started teaching yoga, and then so you do this thing called, for those of you that are listening right now, she does a thing called office yoga, and you're like the person to go to when there's office yoga.
Yeah,
you are it. Actually, if anyone even says the word office yoga, you just magically pop up. That's how it happens.
You can thank AI for that.
Yeah. So I want to hear more about, because we just did on the show, actually, one of my I teach an office yoga class, and one of my students there was talking about, I wanted to bring her on the show to get people to listen about why practicing yoga in the middle of your workday is freaking great for you. But you're going now, like, from not only just teaching office yoga, but teaching teachers how to teach office yoga, and you've created this whole thing about it. So, tell me more about it. I want to wrap my head around it.
Okay. Well, I did listen to your podcast with Lynette. Is that her name?
Yeah, Lynette.
Okay. Yeah, which was a great session to listen to, and I think a good precursor to talking about the training. because she just gives you all the benefits from a student's perspective,
Right.
from an employee's perspective. She's, sees and feels all the benefits of having yoga in the office.
Yeah.
Um, and so when I started, so I actually got the idea while I was in Steph's teacher training.
Okay.
I was in a transition at work, was leaving my job as a wellness coordinator at Berkeley. And I taught one office yoga class. And so while I was in transition, I was like, well, what am I going to do? I was like, I'll just teach a few more classes, like office classes while I figure out my real job. And then see what happens,
Sure.
So I just was walking up and down the building of the place that I taught. I was on the 3rd floor, so I just went up to the 4th floor, 5th floor. So, I was like a 17-story building. I was just walking up and down, and one of the companies in that building totally wanted me to come in twice a week. I was like, great. That was easy.
Yeah, you're like, awesome.
I was like, sweet. And so I just did that for a couple months, actually. And I picked up I think I had 4 companies by the end of training, which was, our training at that time took over like a 2-month period. And towards the end of that training, I was like, we're sitting together. You're so close to your group in teacher training. And I'm looking around and like, I have love for everyone. I'm like, how the hell are all of these like 30 people in my Sangha? Like, how are they going to find work?
Right.
Like, how are all these people actually going to be teachers in San Francisco? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, sure.
And so that's what kind of inspired me to really be like, you know what? There's plenty of offices in San Francisco. Financially, it just pays better, and it's easy because you see the same people every week.
Sure.
So, and it's usually a smaller group than a public class. You have anywhere from like 5 to like 15 students, 20 students.
Right.
Depending on the company. And you just build a rapport. You see them, they're the same people. It's just, it's a little friendlier for, I think, a new teacher. So I was like, I'm just going to explode office yoga in San Francisco. I want to be in all the companies, and then I can hire my Sangha and then go out there and they can all teach, and they'll get experience that way.
Your plot to take over begins.
Yeah. It all sparked in that training. And so, and I actually did. I expanded within that year, or within the few years I've been doing it. And I hired some of the people from my training to teach. Michelle McManus was one. Allison taught for me for a little bit. I got them in and out. And just over the years, I realized as friendly as the environment is, a lot of students in office yoga are actually beginners.
Right.
And as a teacher, it's extremely difficult to teach a beginner. It's way harder to teach a beginner than it is an advanced student.
Right. No, I hear that.
Yeah. And sometimes just the environment in an office, like having been in, 20, 30, maybe 40 offices at this point, it's just every environment's very different. So sometimes you're, in a game room where there's lots of space. Some places have yoga meditation rooms, which is great. Sometimes they're on the kitchen floor, and there's people walking through. So it definitely takes, I think, some brushing up and a personality that it really works for that sort of environment. You got to really be able to just wing it and go with the flow of things. And yeah, I found like I had to sort of train the teachers a little bit. So I was mentoring people, having them come shadow my classes and just giving them feedback, watching them teach an office yoga class. And that's how I had been doing it. And just over the last 4 months, this woman in New York, Lauren Coles, she runs Daisy Office Yoga in New York. She reached out to me and said, hey, I do the same thing that you do in New York. I've actually put together this curriculum to do a teacher training to teach other instructors how to do what we do. And I was like, thank God.
That's pretty good.
I was like, that needs to happen. I always felt like that needed to happen, but that is not my skill set.
Right,
right.
I'm
not going to put together a curriculum. I would rather just keep mentoring people, but I wouldn't be able to expand that way. It was very limiting.
Right.
So her and I have been really working together the last few months, getting this getting it going. She has and I've seen the curriculum. It's fantastic. She has she has her master's in education. So
Oh, that's pretty
every
sweet.
yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's a yogi. She's a yogi, and her curriculum's all research based. Everything's proven through clinical trial. All the meditation techniques, all the sequences, all of that. It's just very dense with information. So her and I will be leading the first San Francisco teacher training in March. It'll be March 3rd, 4th, 5th. It'll be a weekend.
Okay.
Friday evening, Saturday, and Sunday. And any certified yoga instructor can come and go through the training, and we'll give you all the tools. We'll teach you how to teach on a conference table. We'll teach you how to work with someone who comes in a skirt and heels, which has totally happened before.
Okay.
We'll throw in all these different environments that we've experienced, so that you feel confident going in and teaching a class. And then on top of that, we'll also give you contracts and sort of the do's and don'ts of, like, if you did want to run your own business, how to do it, or if you just wanted to teach for us, you're fully equipped and ready to go. Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
What's been the biggest challenge with that program, would you say?
The teacher training program?
Yeah.
Right now, we're in the marketing phase. So it's just getting the word out there, letting people know about it, because it's brand new. It's the first time we're ever doing it in San Francisco. It's the first curriculum for office yoga ever created. Mm-hmm. So it's just not known yet. So that's been the challenge.
I have a hard time, and I think maybe you have too, but like as a teacher, I tell people all the time, like, oh, this is good for you. Like, yoga's great for you. Come on, practice yoga. It's really good. But it sounds like I'm just like, one, trying to validate my job, or two, trying to make sure I'm getting paid, but like you were saying, like Lynette, she is one of the girls at one of the places that I teach at, that's just, she like tells her staff, like, you guys, you need to take a break today and come to yoga because it's that good for you. And like, it's just so, she sees directly the benefits of like taking this out. And it's so hard, I feel like, for me as a teacher, like, hey, the more people we get to do this, or the more people, like, we get to do a teacher training so that they can go teach this office yoga, the better it is. But most people are like, I don't know.
You mean the employees to go to class?
Both.
Or
The employees to go to class, or teachers to go teach at offices. Like, you forget that everybody needs it.
Yeah. For yoga instructors, first of all, office yoga, it pays better. You set your own rates for the most part, and you don't have to worry about the head count. It's like, you don't have to worry about how many people are in your class.
Right,
and
right.
And once you have that contract, or once you have the company, you're pretty good to go.
Right.
As long as you're not like hurting people. You're kind of good to go. It's very stable, which is nice. You don't really have to worry about it disappearing for the most part. Depends on the company's budget.
Right.
Stuff like that. And speaking of company's budget, our bigger vision for office yoga is to, do the training programs, have more teachers teaching office yoga so that it becomes normalized, that companies are just used to having yoga and meditation services offered.
Right.
And then over time, we're also starting an association, Yogia. So once you go through a training program, you're Yogia certified. And the board will have doctors and PTs on the association, or part of the association. And we're going to eventually get it through insurance companies.
That's
so we'd like
awesome.
to pitch that to insurance companies so that they just pay for it. So then there's just yoga everywhere.
That's great. I think
everywhere.
Everybody needs it.
It's such a good benefit, for people at work.
I love teaching my office yogis, man. They're fun. They're super cool. They're just like, for me, my group at least, I've been lucky enough where they're just like, I feel like I'm hanging out with like 15 of my friends. Like, I know them all by name, and we like chat for a little bit before and afterwards. And, it's just a really good group. They 100% just want to get away for a little bit, to just not think about, whatever they have on their plate. I mean, these guys are in like really big positions,
Yeah, and they're so grateful to see you, right?
Yeah, they're
So
so
happy that you're
grateful.
there.
Yeah. It's not about me, but yes, it's nice to deal with happy people. Like they're just like, "All right, it's the best part of my day."
Yeah. And it builds camaraderie within the company, I think, or within the group that shows up.
Oh, for sure,
You know,
for sure.
and it's fun to kind of strip the titles away.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're the CEO and you're the office assistant,
Yeah, yeah.
We're all equal here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thanks, Miriam, for coming on the show today. I appreciate you
Yeah.
you telling everyone about the office yoga and why it's so awesome, and about your training too. That's a big deal.
Thank you so much for chatting with me tonight.
Yeah. It's been fun. I'm gonna leave all of your social links and your website down in the comment section below. Is there anything else you've got to say before we sign off today?
Thank you. I love you.
I'll take that
I
too.
appreciate it.
All right,
I hope to be
yogis.
seeing you soon.
Until the next Yogi Misfit session, this is Danny and Miriam saying peace out.
Bye.
Bye.